Hey everybody, welcome to WP Roundtable, episode 100 and a bunch. I'm here today with Rene Morozowich.
Oh, you just had it. Yeah, there you go.
I just had it. I just had it. And then I second guessed myself. I'm so sorry.
It's totally fine.
This is the kind of thing that happens when we live these online lives and interact with usernames and avatars. The struggle, it's so real. So you are you are not the first person I mispronounced on this show, much to my embarrassment. And I apologize for getting that.
No worries. It's all good.
Well, Rene, I'm excited about our conversation. I've been looking forward to it for some time now, ever since you agreed to be on the show. We have been encountering each other a little bit in a WordPress Slack group for business professionals, and that's a great place to hang out. I recommend it to everybody. Business of WordPress Slack channel. We're going to learn a little bit about your business here today and your background, how you got here. So thank you for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Before we dive into Rene's background, this is a part of the show where we always just share something new and special that we've encountered. A quick pick of the week, if you will. And this could be anything. We've had people share the favorite beer that they just tried, or an artist on Spotify that they think is worth following, or a WordPress plugin or something topical. Today, I recommend nomadlist.io. Nomadlist is pretty slick, and it's not new. It's been around for quite some years, but it is a very sophisticated website for people who do that nomad thing, where you can work anywhere and you're not tied to a specific location. So you decide you're going to go out and see things and tour around. Nomadlist, stacks up all the cities in the world, all the major cities, and aggregates all kinds of information about them and gives them scores. So you can look at a list of cities based on the region that you care about and see how they score in terms of safety and walkability and air quality and the cost of living
internet service. Internet service.
Right, yeah. All those things that you care about, and see which locations look right for you. Plus there's a whole community of nomads behind the website. There's a Slack channel, there's forums. It's a really great place for getting to know other people, going to experience other parts of the world, which is important for me now because I'm embarking on, in a few months, my first ever major trip for an extended period of time. We're going to go spend 6 weeks in Europe, my family and I, and it's not true nomad life, but it's living somewhere else for a little while, and I'm getting connected with more nomads and learning about the different cities of the world. Anyway, long description for my thing. Check out Nomad List and learn a little bit about all the places you should be seeing. How about you, Rene? What have you got to share today?
That's exciting. Are you going to tell us a little bit about where you're going and stuff? I know that's not the answer to your question, but
yeah.
Can we talk about you? I'm curious. No, you posted it in the group a long time ago about thinking about it, and then I didn't know where you had decided on, and maybe we could save it for the end.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. We can flow with whatever, and we're going to be spending most of the time in Budapest. About a whole month there, with a couple of stops after, including WordCamp Europe at the end, which is taking place in Berlin this year. So that's the plan. I've talked a little bit more about it on the other podcast, the Get Options podcast, and sometimes we chat about travel stuff there. Have you ever been to Europe before, Rene?
I have, yes, a long time ago, and also going to Ireland in a couple of weeks. So I'm excited about that.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool. Anyway, okay, my pick. Sorry to get you off track. I'm not a really huge podcast person. I kind of like the quiet, but also don't know when to fit it in. But I've been listening to the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast with Amy Porterfield, and it's really interesting. It's maybe an hour-ish or so every week, and she talks about online stuff. And so we build websites. Well, I build websites, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, and there's more to it than just that. There's the marketing part to it, which I think is really valuable for a lot of people. So it's cool and I like it.
All right. Well, thanks for the great podcast recommendation. Sounds awesome. Okay. Now, Renee, it's time for us to dig in a little bit to your background. I want to understand how you got where you are, and we can take it one step at a time a little bit. I like to just establish a starting point, and where I find is best. That's the time where you were younger and you were taking your first steps on your first career path. When you first decided there's a direction that you think you want to go with your life, with your college, your early jobs, your first entrepreneurial effort, whatever it was. But when a young Renee said, I think this is where I want to go with my life, what was that vision and the first steps you took?
That was a long time ago. So let's go back. Let's go back really far. So I went to college in the late 90s, and I originally went for math education. I think I applied for Spanish education, and then I didn't like those, so I picked religious studies. And my parents were not really thrilled about that. I was like, well, what are you going to do with that? So I remember being in my dorm room looking through the catalog, because then catalogs were on paper, like we actually had like a book, looking through the catalog and like looking at all the majors, thinking like, what could I do? So I picked computer science, which was, I'm not really sure why. And so I started with that in my second year, and it was a good full year of not understanding what was happening. So I didn't have any clue what they were talking about, but I didn't really consider quitting. Not really sure why, but I kept on
That's
with
the
it.
first question that comes to my mind.
Why would I? I know, right? If I didn't
If you
get it, why
didn't
would I
have
quit?
if you didn't have a vision for this, and
Yeah,
there
I
there
don't
weren't like
know.
people in your life who were also doing computer science or had done it,
Yeah,
advising
no.
you, as I have no shortage of acquaintances who have tried and backed out of a computer science pursuit.
Mhm.
And we probably all know plenty of those. How did you stick through that?
I'm not sure. I just remember after, so it was my second year then. So after that year, it clicked. It like it became apparent what was happening. And then we started to take different classes, and I started to learn other things. I remember taking in my senior year a database class, and I love that. And it it was good. I mean, it was strange because it was like me and another woman and 18 guys, various shades of geek and nerd. Like, I mean, it was pretty typical for what you would expect.
Right, right.
But
Where were
I
you
got into
studying?
it.
Where were
I
you?
went to IUP, which is
IUP.
Indiana University of Pennsylvania. So it's a Pennsylvania state school, maybe like an hour from where I grew up.
Okay.
So just like a regular school.
Hmm.
But it was good. So then I got a job at PPG. So you might be familiar with PPG. They make paint and glass and stuff. And I remember starting there. Like this was, I made like a ton of money. Like 21-year-old Renee was banking it in. She had like a really great apartment with a fireplace and my own office. I have since not had my own office. I mean, I feel like at this point I'm probably as low down as I could go. I'm actually in my bedroom. My office is my bedroom. Um,
Wow. How many of us peaked at career-wise at 21? I don't know.
I know, right? So I remember going into my own office and, sitting at my desk, and it was actually in a really cute little place, and just being like, oh God, no, what is this? Like, this is not going to work. Like, this is not. And everybody kept saying, it was a group, I worked in flat glass, and everybody kept saying, like, this is such a great group, and I've worked at so many places, and they've been terrible, and the people were terrible, and these people are awesome, and this is so great, and like, you should be so happy. I was like, but oh no, I'm not happy. And I didn't want to get up to go to work in the morning, and it was bad. Like it got bad. So
Wow.
I quit eventually. And then like pursued some other things. Like I taught for a while. I eventually did go back to some programming in other places, and I kind of like every 2 years would think like, oh, maybe if I just changed the place that I worked, like that would fix it. So like one place didn't have any windows, and it was like really dirty, and I thought like, oh, if I go to a place with windows and like where they have lunch and everything sort of like ping pong tables, that like it'll be so great. And like it was great because like, yeah, they brought bagels on Friday, but I was still sitting there doing the same kinds of things, which was not enough. And it just wasn't right. Like it was, I kept like trying, I felt like I was trying on like new shirts that still didn't fit. Like they were all just the same kind of shirt. Like, well, okay, wait, Maybe I need to do something different, different. But what can I do? You know, I'm like in my mid 30s at that point. I'm like, what am I qualified to do? And what, like at this point, I had to. I was getting divorced, and I had to support my son, who's 10 now, and so I kind of had to make some decisions. So I made some decisions.
You made some decisions.
And they were words.
Yeah, it sounds like there's more of a story in that process.
Yeah,
I think.
So I looked online for just like what to do, like ideas. Like I'm a researcher. I'm like, okay, what can I do? What are some, you know, possibilities? So I encountered a program. I took the Skill Crush WordPress program, which is like a 3-month, just to like see like what is this WordPress thing that I didn't know anything about. And it was really awesome. And then you tell people that you can, you know, do websites, and they're like, oh, I need a website, and I know a friend who needs a website. And then people start like, you know, kind of coming out of the woodwork. And then like you hear of these things called meetups. What is a meetup? And then you go to a meetup and you're like, oh my gosh, look, there's a bunch of people doing this thing. And they're really happy to tell you about more meetups and word camps. And oh, go to a word camp. Like, well, what is this thing? And, you know, the ball, it's just viral.
Sure.
But it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So familiar, at least in the big picture, the storyline.
I wanted to leverage some skills that I already had while trying to find other things that I like to do and was able to do. So I like to be independent. I'm really like goal driven, and, you know, write out the tasks and accomplish the stuff. And, you know, I really like the other stuff that goes along with business, like marketing, and I even like invoicing. I even like entering expenses. Like I like doing all of that. And I really like that I can just go to Chipotle at, you know, 2:00 if I want to, and I don't have to ask somebody, hey, is it okay if I go? Or, hey, I have a dentist appointment on Friday. Like, I don't need to tell anybody I have a dentist appointment on Friday. I don't even need to tell my clients. Like, oh, out of office. See you later. You know, I don't need to be a jerk about it, but I don't like that really confined space. Other people putting me in that kind of box.
Sure. Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. Okay. Then like at what point in this journey were you thinking that an entrepreneurial path was really right for you? And did you have any entrepreneurial role models to inspire you?
Yeah. So a lot of people in my family are like really big, like not big, like corporate people. So like my sister, who's younger, but works for a big company, and she's like climbing that corporate ladder, man. She's like up the climb.
Yeah.
Doing awesome and great. And my dad, our dad, is a mechanic. He owns his own business, and just the things that he does seem to relate to me. Like I can appreciate the stuff that he does a little bit more. Like I can understand it. You know, he's kind of like, you know, he fixes cars, but he does other things too. And just kind of like that, he does what comes along, and not saying that it's really super glamorous or anything, but it's that confinement again. It's like doing what you want to do, and I can just totally relate to it. So, you know, I try to do it maybe, I don't want to say like better than he does it, because he has a ton of experience, but like he doesn't use a computer. Like, come on, Dad. It's 2019. But, right. You know, at this point, like he's not going to do that. But I want to do it really well. I don't want to do it poorly. So I guess he's my role model.
Okay. So for a long time, maybe you had it in the back of your mind that could be the direction you went?
It maybe was just more like a feeling.
Yeah.
Not so much like a plan or a specific thought, but more so like I can relate to this. I appreciate kind of like a strappy, you know, make your own way. So like my son is 10, and before Christmas, I want to start planting some entrepreneurial seeds. So I said like, hey buddy, you know, what if he likes to cook. Like, hey, what if we baked something or made something and then you sold it to some people, you know, just to kind of try this out. So because karma is funny, he made cookies and got orders for 40 dozen cookies before I was like, okay, don't tell anybody else we're making cookies, because now we have 40 dozen cookies to make. So we did it, and it was great. And he donated half the proceeds to the animal shelter, and it was really nice. But I want him to learn that you can make your own way, and you don't have to wait for like a job or somebody to give you a paycheck. It's not like a passive thing, it's an active thing. Like
Mm.
going forward, find a need in the world and pair that with your unique gifts. What are those? And like you could be amazing. And yay.
I love the
Not that I'm
message.
saying like his cookies are like, the thing, but just trying to kind of get those ideas flowing in that direction.
It's a great message. Yeah, I like it a lot. Love everything about it. It's super cool. Okay. And so looking back, analyzing, yeah, your history and your personality, it doesn't, I would guess that you would agree that it doesn't surprise you where you ended up or what you ended up doing, or
It
does it?
doesn't it doesn't really surprise me. No, I mean it surprises me that this existed because if you don't know something exists and then you find it, it can be really surprising. And I think another thing that was really kind of great was I think I kind of needed a community. I didn't really know that I needed it, but
Mm,
I've made a couple friends and it was like an added bonus. But maybe it was the universe saying, here's something that will meet more than one need for you.
sure.
Trying to be a teary.
Yeah, I can relate. I can relate. And there are elements that I have found once I landed upon, most of what we've got here, that like business school led me to believe this sort of thing didn't and couldn't exist.
Right.
An ecosystem that was so like collaborative in nature and where the liberties that we have and that you've been appreciating are so freely available. And I often say, like, I'm never going back. I'm never leaving anything like this. This is it. I didn't think this existed, and I found out it does, and I'm extremely happy. And often have to stop myself from getting too uh I don't know what the word is, from talking about it too much in the presence of others who are not like so fortunate, I guess, who
Mm-hmm.
haven't found this firsthand. Though
Right.
I do remind myself that at a time I wouldn't have believed it's all, as glamorous as it sounds,
Exactly. Yeah.
to be fair. Okay. So you took the WordPress course, learned a little thing about a bit about that. You've done some programming over the years. You felt like I got some skills, and people started to ask you to build websites, and then what, you took on a few projects, and then next thing you know, that's what you're doing.
So I actually started, one of the first things I did, I started working for an agency, and it's a graphic, I still work for them now. It's a graphic design and marketing and PR, and like billboards and radio ads and all that kind of stuff. So they had lost their web developer. So like you do a brochure for someone, they want a website to match. So they had a bunch of sites in various states of disarray because nobody had been tending to them, because the people who were there didn't, that wasn't their focus. So I came in and we migrated a lot of sites from HostGator elsewhere, and we cleaned everything up and really started like responding to the clients, and like really kind of proud of like how things are now. So I worked with them, and then I worked with a few other agencies, but yeah, then just clients, small businesses, individuals, anybody who needed help on an existing site, or needed something built from scratch, or something redone, basically anything like that that comes along. So I don't really have a specialty at this point. I know I want to have a specialty, but I think at this point I want to have enough data to be able to make an informed decision, or I want to feel like, oh, that's it. And at this point I really haven't felt like, oh, that one thing is it. But I am a fan of it, and I think it's really beneficial, when you do have a specialty, because like people who have specialties, and when you encounter someone with a need for that, you're like, oh, that person does it. Like
Right.
it's so instantaneous that you put it together. Like I want to be that for someone somehow. I'm just not sure yet how or what.
Yeah, that can be tough. Are there elements of projects that stand out that you love the most, or like projects that come across your plate that are your favorites?
I definitely like to work on project-based things more so than an ongoing type relationship. I like the very clear, this is what we're going to do, and then we have done it. I really like to finish things, and those things make me much happier. Whatever the project, even if it's a small project, to say like, okay, here's what we're going to do, and then here's going to be our timeline, and then we did it. So besides that, I'm not really sure. Maybe something that's a little bit new or a little bit technical is good, or doing something really cool. Mine is just like a regular site, but even like cleaning something up or improving something somehow, like that's really awesome.
Hmm. Okay.
And helping people. Like I like when people are like, "Oh, thank you so much," or "Oh, I didn't know how to do this," or "I could never get that to work," or and they like empowering them that now they, you know, their business is doing better, or they've learned something, or they're just happy.
Hmm. Are there, diving even like deeper, are there like specific tasks that you find yourself enjoying the most? Writing custom plugins or certain types of functionality or changing WordPress in a certain way or custom themes or certain design paradigms really attracting to you? Getting technical, what
Mm-hmm.
attracts you?
Yeah, so not so much design. I like a clear design and I appreciate good design, but if you leave me to choose the button colors, it's going to be like 2 hours and I still won't be happy at the end. So I like when the design comes. I appreciate like a really nice web designer, and that's the best, because it's also very clear because they have a vision in mind, and they want the button to be this color and they want the border to be this and they want the hover to be that, and then being able to fulfill that for them, like to actually make that happen. And then they're like, oh yes, this is my design in real life. Like that's really great, because I don't love the like, well, I don't know about this or I don't know about that, like the subjectivity. So that's kind of why I like this field, and doing this work, is because it's not really subjective, right? Because the website contact form either works or it doesn't.
Right.
So that's kind of what I like, that kind of thing. So I have done some plugin work, and that's good, but like you have to structure your day a little bit differently when you're doing that kind of coding work. You have to turn off the stuff, like you got to close the email, you got to turn off those notifications, you can't leave Slack open, because you really have to like get into it and think about it, versus like just doing some quick client stuff, some changes or updates, and everything's happening and like Slack, and oh, another email just came in and you have a support ticket, and so it's a different type of day. I appreciate both things, but it's just, I like the variety, but like you just have to, make sure that you have your brain in the right place for each type of task.
Mm. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, the different types of work. Given that you're involved in a lot of different things, is it like it's challenging to context switch all the time? Do you get to spend a large percentage of your days actually coding?
I don't at this point. So I'm doing some plugin work, but not a ton of work. So that's not the majority of my work at this point. I would like to get more into it, as the year progresses. And so I'm taking, Zach Gordon's JavaScript for WordPress boot camp, and we're in week 5, and it's really amazing, and I love it so much. And he's such a great teacher, and the people are really awesome, and we're all like, we're so behind, and he's like, you're not behind. So I want to develop the skills that I need to be able to do more WordPress development. There's so many, and so I'd like to work more towards that. Um, it is difficult to context switch, and that's why I'm not really a fan of like the ongoing maintenance, like the 5 minute, like, hey, can you change this little thing? Because by the time you like read the email, start the timer and get into it, and you change it, and it's like, ugh, I made $2 there. Like yeah, that's not my favorite.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. What do you get to work with anybody else on a consistent basis? You still work for an agency. What's your team like?
Yeah, so they're really awesome. They are like we all have our own personalities, like our own distinctive, like, I'm like coder personality, like I really want to finish things and I'm really structured and like, the emails are very like specific and they're more creative and it's, just kind of like us meshing. It's like really fun to talk on the phone. Like we're not obviously like in contact with each other all the time, but I really do like that. And I've done some work. So I actually just watched as I was preparing for this. You talked to Scott Deluzio last year, and he had said on the thing at the time that he wanted to hire somebody. So we met in Minneapolis in August, and so he did hire me, and we've been working together, and that's been really fun. He has a
Wow.
couple different plugins. Yeah, it's good, and so I definitely like doing that. And he's so nice, like so nice, like the nicest person I think
That's true. Scott
I've
is
met.
great.
Like
Very nice guy.
so nice, yeah, and that's been good. But like other than that, like on an ongoing basis, like the Slack group, like I try to check in with the Slack group and respond to people and post my own whatever. I'm a fan of the weekly stand-up channel, so we have some goals, like 12-week year stuff, and each week we're posting. I really like that. But that's about it. So nothing in the meetup group in Pittsburgh. I help co-organize that, so I do get to see real people in real life once a month. That's nice too.
Oh, okay. Every year I say like this will be the year that I'm going to go over to Pittsburgh and attend their word camp or something. And Melinda always reminds me or invites me. She's great. And now that like Josh and Christy live there,
Yeah, for sure.
it seems like there's a great community in that town
You
all of a
should do it.
sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Josh and Christy are at Code and Supply. So it's a co-working space in East Liberty, and they're really awesome. And we have a lot of our meetups there. So they like I kind of coordinate the speaker and show up with signs and stuff, and then they like help us set up and clean up, and that's really fun. But we actually don't have a word camp organizer for this year. So Carrie did it the last 2 years. So I'm not sure if we're going to have word camp this year, but that's just up in the air.
Oh,
but you're welcome to come to Pittsburgh anytime. And if you want to speak, let me know because I'm always trying to line up speakers
okay.
because I love the diversity. So like, people have different experiences and it's great. So
Sure.
we even did a virtual meetup last month. So if you even want to do a virtual meetup, let me know.
We've done that before. I've spoken virtually at meetups, and we've had virtual meetup speakers here in our town, and it can work out. It really, I mean, if you're open to that, suddenly the field of speakers is enormous compared to what you find in your little town.
And especially with the weather too, sometimes like people don't want to go out at night and it's snowing and yada yada. You just like cozy up with Zoom and learn all kinds of stuff.
That can be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been learning a lot of JavaScript lately. That's kind of neat because I don't know, word on the street is like JavaScript's kind of a big deal now. Right?
That's what I hear too, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any experience like with it before it, kind of before Matt said learn JavaScript deeply and Zach Gordon made it his life?
So I thought I did. When I signed up for the class, I'm like, oh, I've worked with JavaScript before. At one of my previous jobs, actually two of my previous jobs, we had a lot of applications that had JavaScript involved in various places. Anytime I would do like a modification, I'd try to like push the boundaries, but that's a totally different ballgame than what's actually happening here. But it's still good. I love it so much, and I'm really excited to learn React. And I'm hoping, to build some fun Gutenberg stuff. And so, I mean, is this the way to go? Like I know some PHP, but like, I feel like it isn't JavaScript. Validate me here. Like, is it? Am I on the right track?
I think you are, Rene. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Keep on keeping on. You're on the right track. I believe it, but I think that is a lot of evidence suggests this is the direction the web is going. And if we just look at where, like what the demands are of the modern web, that can give us an indication of what sort of technologies they're going to be appropriate and applicable in that case. And we know that the modern web is expecting more you know, real time, you know, API driven app like experiences. Um, and all of that stuff is JavaScript driven. So it makes sense to me, except JavaScript's hard. So that's a
it's
bummer.
it's kind of, I mean, it hasn't been too bad so far. There's just a lot. There's so much, and so you try to do it, and you maybe don't get it. But when you actually go to use it yourself, I find that that's when the magic happens. You're like, okay, I heard something about something that I could maybe do. So then when you look it up again, it actually makes so much more sense than the first time when somebody, was kind of just like listing, here's all the things you need to know, because you're actually using it in real life. So I'm hoping that that will just continue. I don't know if that's naive or not.
I
But
hope so. I
yeah.
mean, kudos to you for picking it up and diving in. Like I haven't been in code as much in the past couple of years, but I found PHP to be pretty easy, I guess. And
Quite straightforward.
it is.
Yeah.
And when I compare it to JavaScript, like PHP seems like the easy bake oven programming language. And I don't know if I don't know if I can handle JavaScript. Like that's the real deal. This is complicated. Anyway, it always baffled me. But there's lots of languages out there. I don't know what it is about
Yeah.
PHP. It just seems like it's so simple
It's like
somehow.
friendly. It's kind of like homey and like, I don't know. It's a
I
feel
don't
good
know.
language. It's like the meatloaf of languages. No, it's like you feel good and it's simple and I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. It's welcoming and
Right.
yeah. I mean, maybe it'll throw some error messages at you, but they're not that scary.
Right.
And I do believe, and a lot of people have said things like this, that PHP and also by extension WordPress uh, like have been a bit of a gateway for a lot of people to programming, and that was largely the case for me, where I had just such a minimal skill set, but wasn't interested in going any farther until I really discovered the power of WordPress, and it was so accessible that it was very easy for me to take like knowing almost nothing and then like take baby steps to eventually wake up one day and I could be a productive web developer
Right.
before I even knew it. And a lot of other people found that to be the case because it was just, it didn't take much. I mean, to be able to write a simple custom plugin to like add a short code or something, or add your own little widget for a client's request, or to make a child theme and overwrite some things, eh, all of that stuff, like one simple one-page tutorials on the web, and you're in business. Is WordPress still that way today?
I mean, I think it is a little more difficult, because if you want to add that new Gutenberg block, it's going to be harder for you. Also, too, I find a big challenge in when you search for something, all of the documentation is old. It's from last year. I can't find somebody's brand new. I guess I could tweak my search query, but I think that it is just a little bit more difficult. And so, yeah, maybe they even give you some code and you're like, well, where do I put this? Like, what do I do with this? I think it is a little bit more challenging, but I don't think that those other things have gone away. So I think that that's all still good and valuable, like a gateway, like you said, for people to learn and get into it.
You don't anticipate this changing a lot, like WordPress becoming a little less welcoming?
I really don't know. I don't think I've been around long enough to understand like maybe what has happened and maybe what is happening. I don't like I'm not really embedded in the like I don't know the things that people know in terms of kind of like the big picture and I'm
Sure.
kind of my own small island, I guess, maybe if I could say it that way. So I can't speak to it. I don't know. I don't, I wouldn't have a very good opinion. I don't think so. Like not a bad opinion, but I wouldn't have an opinion. I don't know
Mm.
how it is or how it's going to go.
Well, I respect that, and that's something many don't admit. I know more people more than willing to just express an opinion anyway, whether they're informed or not. So choosing to withhold because you're aware of what you don't know is, I don't know, appreciated.
Maybe
So,
later I'll have an opinion, after I've been doing it for a long time. But I do find it, from this perspective, like, yes, how much should I invest in WordPress specifically?
mm,
And how much should I, tie my livelihood to this? So JavaScript, I can do JavaScript other places, even though it's JavaScript for WordPress. I feel like, some of the skills will translate, but yeah, where do I steer this ship? Like, how do I know? Not that anybody has a crystal ball, but trying to go where it's, my skills and the need are, is that going to be WordPress? So I'm working with someone on a craft CMS um, site. So just to
okay.
kind of like check that out and see what's going on over there.
Yeah, no
We
doubt.
haven't started yet, but it's coming.
Hmm. That can be a difficult thing to figure out. It really can, because there are a lot of people spending all their days trying to figure out where things are going
Mm-hmm.
and to do the Gretzky thing and skate to where the puck is going. And that's that's really difficult because it's all pretty complicated, and there can be a lot of influencing factors which are hard to predict or which occur that nobody saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that there's a lot of evidence that suggests that we're probably fine for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the work is there and it's not hard to find, probably don't need to worry too much quite yet.
Right. Yeah. But I think you always have to be aware. Like always, I think always be learning, always be aware of what's going on. Like you just don't want to find yourself, in 10 years, like, oh, wait, I don't have any marketable skills. And all of a sudden, the thing I was doing went away. So
Right.
it's a different
Whoops.
kind of life. Yeah.
Yeah. It happens. It definitely has happened to a lot of people, and that's quite unfortunate. I
Mm-hmm.
think your attitude is the right attitude. Like, constantly keep learning. Complacency is not a virtue in this workplace. There's no room for that at all.
Right.
Uh, so you're going to be completely safe if you continue to level up your skills. Uh, and even though the web like evolves at a scary rapid rate and things change all the time, and the next thing you know, the hot thing is not what you're doing.
Right.
Well, if you have that attitude of always be learning, you'll always be able to keep up. Everybody else has to
Mm-hmm.
learn the stuff too. It's not
True.
just you.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and in fact, when things change more abruptly, that disrupts everyone even more abruptly, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
all starting from scratch, learning new things. Um, yeah, I like the attitude. Keeping your eye out, though, that's important. Okay, so do you do any other projects on the side?
Um, I don't have much of a side left at this at after all is said and done. So I have a son who's 10, so that's probably the rest. That's the rest of me is, karate lessons and whatever else he's working on. That's kind of my hobby. I've kind of lost some hobbies, I guess, in this kind of ramp up. So I've been doing this about a year and a half, and it's it's like all encompassing, especially doing the boot camp, like, work all day, boot camp for a bunch of time, and there's only like little slivers of time left. So I'm hoping it'll even out a little bit more. I have faith in it can. So I don't think it has to be that sort of like feast or famine, crazy working all hours, working all weekends. Like I don't think it has to be that way.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I gotta believe that's
Yeah.
true. I
Right.
gotta
I'm an
hold on to
optimist.
that
Okay.
hope.
So yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If that, I mean, if that's what's necessary, then maybe I'm having second thoughts, I guess. But okay. So what are some of the things that you guys like to do outside of work?
So we like to roller skate. That's one thing that we like to do.
Wow.
My son likes to cook, so we do a little bit of cooking now and again. What else do we do? He really likes to read, so we like to just like cuddle in bed and read. And he has two TV shows that we watch together. We watch the DC's Legends of Tomorrow. This is not really that good of a show, but he loves it so much, and also Fuller House, which oh, I'd it, it's like it's so crazy. It's kind of like a train wreck. You're watching it and you're like, I can't stop watching this. It's because I watched the original when I was,
Of
so
course.
much younger. It was on then.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it messes with my mind. But he loves it and we sit and we watch it together and I don't know, it's good and he's sweet and he's in fifth grade now and like he's gonna grow up really soon. And so I'm like trying to hold on as much as I can and
Sure.
do
That's
that.
great. That's great. That's wise. And it's cool that you're able to have the flexibility that you need and appreciate that this this time is probably going to go by quick. So,
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's so nice to be able to like, leave work early and, pick him up from school and, do those other things. Like that's really awesome. Go in, for a field trip. I signed up for his field trip, although apparently my clearances are expired and now I have to do like a billion clearances. But yeah, just be like, oh, we're going on the field trip. Like I don't have to ask somebody. I don't have to make sure I have enough vacation days. Like you just make up the work, make sure,
right.
my clients are happy, like, and make it happen. Like, and it's going to be great. It's going to be exhausting, but it's going to be great.
Yeah. How much time do you spend interfacing directly with clients?
That's a good question. So actually, I had a client today who just signed a proposal today, and she wanted to use. Have you heard of Marco Polo, the Marco Polo app?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I was like, what is this Marco Polo thing you speak of? So it's an app, and it's voicemail, but it's video voicemail. So we interfaced today for about a half an hour in via videos, just not at the same time. So she'd send me a 10-minute video, and then I'd send her a 10-minute video, and then she'd send me one where she was asking questions and I was giving answers. So that was a little bit of interfacing. That was
Wow.
different. Yeah, and she really liked it, and it's fine. It's less I have to type, so
Yeah. Sure.
good.
Sure.
A lot of emails, sometimes calls. Like you get clients who are like phone talkers, right? Like I have another client who she loves to talk on the phone. She wants to talk. She's a talker. She does podcasts. Like that's how she wants to communicate. And I do have her set up in Asana, and that's okay. But she feels better talking out loud and getting answers from me out loud, on the spot, and that's good too. So I mean, maybe like an hour a day, not too much, because it doesn't happen every day. So it's not a ton of time, but it's enough.
Gotcha. Okay. That doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I have time to get work done, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like it's not like just all calls.
Do you get the majority of your clients through referrals?
I do. I started a Trello board this year with leads, and so I set up a Zap, and when I mark an email as a lead, it goes in, and then I have like this kind of chain that it goes through. So I've been categorizing them. So yes, a lot of referrals, but referrals from different places, like friends, family, meetup, things like that. But then I get some people just like write to my website. Like someone contacted me from Canada, like somewhere in Canada, maybe Toronto. I'm not sure. I'm like, how did you find me? Like, I mean, it's nice, and we talked, and ultimately, like, he didn't actually need me, so we just, sent a couple emails back and forth, just like about he wanted to increase his site speed, which is already amazing, and we just talked about Gutenberg for a while, but yeah, just like through the website. So cool,
Wow.
great. I guess
Sure.
that's working.
You never know where they're going to come from. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
so anywhere, like, right, it's good. Like you just kind of like put yourself out there and you try to be helpful, and however they come, they come. And you can't worry too much about it because you have to focus on the good stuff. You have to focus on like doing good work and fulfilling expectations, delivering on time, following up. And like, if all that happens, I feel like the work will come.
What's the hardest part of the process for you?
The hardest part. So we talked a little bit about the hard part being those like little 5-minute things. So I've had clients in the past too who send like email every 15 minutes. And so you've sent me like 20 emails. Like I can't. And so I actually posted that to the group and they said, just don't respond to any until the end of the day. And sometimes, and then you can read it kind of like a story with popcorn. Like, oh, look at this drama unfolding. And at the end, look, they solved their own problem because they may have figured some things out along the way. So that is, kind of teaching myself, like, I don't have to respond right away. And it's actually better if I don't. I also got Boomerang, so I can do stuff at night and schedule that stuff to send 8 a.m., which makes me look cool, right?
Right.
So that's hard. And then I think the other hard part is it's the mindset. So I know the things I should do, but it's being confident. It's not letting too much like negative talk get in, and not too much like, oh, you're never gonna get this. It's never gonna work. Like I have to say, like, I don't have time for that. Like, and kind of like try to push it away. But being here and being alone, you don't have coworkers necessarily to talk to. It's it's, you just have to try really hard, and make friends and get on some Zoom calls once in a while and do that. Adam says, chuckle, chuckle, chuckle.
What, Adam?
He told me to tell you. We got in a Zoom call the other day. I was like, hey, Adam, what's going on? Let's have a Zoom call. So we did.
Oh, okay. I wondered if you were that Rene that he mentioned.
Oh, So we were talking about the priorities. So I really like goals and setting goals and getting stuff done and getting your own stuff done. And that's something else I've been thinking about with the agency work. Like if I do so much agency work, it's hourly and I'm working for somebody else's business, which means I'm not working on my own business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
I want to be respectful of your time and hit you with some of my final questions here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A couple. What's on your calendar this year? Is there anything that you guys are gonna, anything you and your son are gonna go travel and do, or any events that you might attend in person where someone might see you?
So I'm going to Ireland with my boyfriend, and I'm going to FinCon this year. So yay, that's gonna be cool. And I'm hoping to go to WordCamp Kent, which is in June.
Oh, it's a great event. I highly recommend it. Tell
everyone
I've been there once. Okay,
and
then I've seen you there. Did we talk in person?
So I don't think we did, but I sat in on your Get Options podcast session. It wasn't last year; it was the year before.
Oh, that was you were there. Okay.
WordCamp, my first WordCamp. Yes, my very first one. So,
no way. Yeah. Okay. We're doing another one in Dayton live in a couple weeks.
Oh, I know. I'm so sad. I wanted to go because that's kind of close-ish, but that's the weekend we're leaving for Ireland. So it's like I can't. It's too many things. Yeah.
Too many things always. Yeah. Well, go to Kent and say hello to everyone.
Yeah, I'd like to try to apply to speak. So I had to figure out like.
That's a great idea. You really should.
Yeah. On what? I don't know.
I encourage it. I hope you do. This will be. That's one of the saddest parts for me about this year is the fact that I will be overseas and miss WordCamp Kent because I've attended the WordCamp in that region 5 years in a row, and this would be year 6. This would be the 6th.
Well, you'll be at WordCamp Europe, which is awesome.
I will be. I know, but I've got that streak, and I just like.
Yeah.
I have such a fondness for that community, and some of the people there are just like the best in the world. Anyway, gotta miss it. Bummer. Yeah. But you'll be there. So
I will. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, hope so. Do you have any good recommendations for guests that I should invite on this show in the future?
Have you talked to Matt Whiteley from Whiteley Designs?
I know who that is, and no, I haven't had him on the show, but that's a good choice.
So you should have him on the show. Yeah, so I actually approached him last week via Slack, and I was like, hey, Matt, do you have time to talk sometime? I want to talk about Genesis. So we're hopefully going to talk tomorrow. I have it on my calendar. But yeah, talk to him. So he's
great.
Cool.
That's an awesome choice.
I think you've talked to a lot of people that I might otherwise recommend. I was looking at your list. But I'll think about it. I'll let you
Okay.
know.
I appreciate it, Renee. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to let you get about your day and finish up your busy Monday, and I'm going to finish up mine and go have some dinner. And we will bump into each other in Slack and hopefully at a Midwest WordCamp before too long.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well,
Yay, thanks, Kyle.
thanks for your time, Renee.
Thanks. See you later.